What a great sci-fi concept this was. It feels like kind of a more modern approach on Black Mirror, and luckily extrapolating it a lot more than a single Black Mirror episode could, but I feel like it's justified because this is such a relatable concept. The concept of splitting work life from personal life is something that I think everybody that's worked those classic 9 to 5 jobs, but even someone who works from home and kind of works on the go and whatever, can relate to this concept of constantly trying to split yourself between, okay, you're in work mode right now versus you're in personal life mode right now. And even though the technology isn't really feasible, that's not really the point of the show. It explains and dives into the dynamic issues that like the human soul faces when you start splitting it down the middle that way. And I think a binge-worthy TV show that convinces you to keep watching it and keep coming back to it and to be excited to see where it goes is by making episodes that have, closed plot lines in them, but they also know exactly where to end it. They know exactly where to leave breaks in between those episodes. So you go, yeah, okay, we got to keep watching. It's very binge worthy. And man, okay, no spoilers for this video, but what a great finale. Like it ended on such a on that subject of knowing when to stop, knowing when to conclude the episode. And in a lot of ways this supports that idea of, well, these streaming companies just want you to keep paying for the service, so you got to keep coming back for more. Yeah, it's definitely still true here, but I still got to admit, this, out of all the shows on Apple TV Plus, is the one I'm most excited to see the next season for. Although I'm still kind of worried it's going to be another Stranger Things situation where they just start with a really, really solid season one. Just 10 out of 10, knock out of the park. Like, you're constantly wondering what happens next. Such an exciting, relatable idea for a sci-fi show. That's also, I should applaud, like, very timeless. There's futuristic technology that doesn't exist, but they're also using like flip phones. But then when they're in the buildings, they're using these like retro computers. But they have, even though they're like low pixelation counts, they still have like pretty high refresh rates. Like they have modern UI elements to them. So it's fascinating mesh. Hats off to Ben Stiller for such an amazing concept. That man gets comedy pretty well, and what's interesting is usually the people that understand comedy fairly well are able to output really good drama and really good sci-fi. Because comedy's hard. It's not easy to understand comedy. So I feel like a lot of the time people that have a firm grasp on comedy are able to expand that into different fields as well, because you have to be smart about it. And you're wondering, yes, what is happening next, but the tension in that finale episode leading you to what happens next, and wondering how is this going to unfold. I'm concerned that it's going to have a really, really great season one and then have a lackluster season two, because I do think there's oftentimes a lot of great concepts and a lot of great plots that make for a fantastic season one, but it doesn't always scale that well to a season two, or like there's not a very satisfying or pleasing way to conclude the series. And I guess I'm a little bit concerned about that, but that's also why I'm curious to see what happens next with Severance, because it's one of those things where it's like there's so many different directions they can take it. You could have the resistance of the workers within the building continue, or you can find more complacency. Of course, new characters can be added that know each other from the outside, or you could have the companies that are managing the people who have severed themselves from work life to personal life. You could have the company try to compromise a bit more with all of the protests going on internally. Like, okay, we'll give you some flexibility, some freedom as an outie. So maybe instead of just being severed as your work self, it's no longer just 8 or 9 hours out of the day. Maybe it's a week, and then you're your personal self for a week again. So that way there feels like some freedom is granted, but simultaneously you could have the dilemma with, well, your personal self now is like within 6 months experiencing 1 year of time pass, and they wouldn't like that restriction and that kind of thing. So there's lots of fascinating ways it can go, but the biggest problem I have with so many streaming shows is they don't usually know good ways to end it. They don't have a great way to conclude a lot of the time, because their motivation is to just keep making more seasons, keep people coming back, keep people watching more. But even so, I still think it's very much worth the watch if you get a free trial, or if you haven't watched Severance on Apple TV Plus. This is one that was brilliantly shot, may I add. I love the intro. This is one of those shows that we could hit the skip intro button, but we typically don't, just because it's so mesmerizing. I'm pretty sure it's all animated, but it captures your eyes in intriguing ways. And I love the music. The actors did a fantastic job. Adam Scott, in particular, here is such a perfect casting choice for this character. The idea of someone that has to behave as two separate characters, but still really in the same body. Super well done. Super good job by Adam Scott. So yeah, I absolutely recommend Severance. Fascinating TV show, and I'm excited to see where it heads. A lot of those great reveals where they unveil something and you're like, wait, what? And then you feel like you have to keep watching. So kept me on the edge of my seat. Pumped for the next season, but still just little bit of a defense mechanism on my part after getting really invested in TV shows after the first season and then being disappointed on the second. I'm a little bit skeptical that there is a intriguing and satisfying way to conclude or continue this show. I wonder how many seasons they could make it work, but still, sometimes it's not about the destination, it's just about the journey. And even if the destination is a big disappointment, we don't know what it is yet, So might as well just start with the journey and fall in love with it and get really invested in it. And then, well, maybe you don't make it to your destination, but you were entertained and intrigued along the way. Thanks for watching. Have an excellent rest of your day.